Hello and welcome to another edition of Safe and Sound. I'm your host, Doug Bolnick. There are many organizations and resources available in our community that help us to live happier and healthier lives. On today's program, we'll visit with individuals from St. Charles County's Department of Community Health and the Environment and local law enforcement to learn exactly how. Health Department Director Julie Eckstein will discuss the services provided through the Division of Environmental Health and Protection, and several members of the Division of Public Health will show ways that what we eat and drink can influence our well-being. In addition to improving ourselves and preserving our environment, we must also be aware of our place in the growing world of social media. Detective Bridget Oldani joins me in studio to offer tips that help you and your family safely network through the internet. But first, Fran Douglas from St. Charles County's Women, Infants, and Children program reveals the importance of good nutrition.
It is important to eat a healthy, well-balanced diet because it optimizes your health, and it can do a number of things for your body, including boosting your immune system. It can help strengthen your body, and it can even help your concentration and memory. It is also true that people that do not have a healthy diet are more likely to become overweight, and that increases their risk for developing certain types of conditions such as type 2 diabetes, certain types of cancers, and hypertension. MyPlate is a nutrition promotional tool that was created by the United States Department of Agriculture, and it's basically a way to visualize what a healthy, complete meal is. And it includes all of the healthy food groups like lean protein sources, fruits and vegetables, low-fat dairy, and whole grain products. It does not include certain types of foods like sweets, junk foods, high-fat foods, because those foods are used sparingly and they shouldn't be used on a daily basis. So using the MyPlate system, a typical meal would be something like a serving of fruit, a serving of vegetables. You might have a glass of milk or some kind of dairy on the side, a lean protein source like a 3-ounce chicken breast, and some type of whole grain like brown rice or a piece of whole wheat bread. Some of the guidelines given by the United States Department of Agriculture are make half your plate fruits and vegetables, make half your grains whole grains, use low-fat dairy products like skim milk, low-fat yogurt, things like that, and also lean protein sources like beans, chicken, fish, turkey, and other types of lean protein sources. It is also important to remember that variety is key, so a lot of times we get stuck on the same foods, but it's important to try new foods because that's how you get all of your nutrients into your diet. Snacking is something that most people think of as a quick, small meal. It should be fast, easy to prepare, and usually people want to take it on the go. And the bad thing about that is that it makes people grab convenient foods like chips, candy, or other prepackaged snacks that aren't always healthy for us. But actually, healthy foods can be just as convenient if with a little planning ahead. Having a piece of fruit or a baggie of unsalted nuts or seeds. You can make your own trail mix using dried fruits and nuts. Or you can even pack some granola and put it in a container of yogurt to make a quick yogurt parfait. If you're interested in finding some more healthy snack ideas and recipes, the internet has a lot of resources available.
Thanks, Fran. A healthy and nutritious meal is a great way to start. Speaking of great starts, we've often heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. To help us understand why, we welcome Danielle Pelham from St. Charles County's WIC program. Danielle, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Why exactly is breakfast important?
Breakfast is important for several reasons. It helps us start off with a lot of energy and provides us with a lot of different nutrients. Also, with eating breakfast, it does allow us to possibly not nibble as much throughout the day and snack, and also possibly not eat as much at lunch. So there have been several studies that have shown that people that eat breakfast are less likely to be overweight.
What would you say would make components of a good breakfast?
So I'd first recommend starting with a protein choice. So having a lean protein, such as a slice or two of Canadian bacon, an egg, low-fat yogurt or peanut butter on toast. Then whole grains. Whole grains have more fiber and tend to have more nutritional value to them. And it also takes our bodies longer to digest whole grains. So the benefit behind that is it keeps us feeling full longer and also gives us more energy for longer. So examples of whole grains would be, whole wheat cereal, such as oatmeal, and having whole wheat breads, muffins, waffles. Another thing that would make a good breakfast would be adding fruits and vegetables. So fruits, I would just recommend trying to choose in-season fruits and just topping that to cereal, oatmeal, yogurt, and even making fruit smoothies. As far as vegetables, I would just recommend if you make eggs, adding in vegetables there, or even in an omelet, having a cup of vegetable juice, or even making fruit smoothies that have vegetables in them. I actually do that for myself, and you can do spinach or kale, mix it in with a fruit smoothie, and you can't taste the vegetables at all.
That's a nice tip. Breakfast is really important for those that are going to school, especially kids. Mm-hmm. What can parents do to help their kids eat breakfast?
Biggest tip that I would have for someone would just be to eat breakfast themselves. Parents leading by example is very important. If they're not eating breakfast, their child's not going to really understand the importance of that. Also having it as a routine is very important.
Listening to your tips, I know in my case, I'm running late a lot, so getting breakfast made in the morning is pretty difficult. What are some tips that you have to help simplify preparation or even to speed up the process?
So there's quite a few things. You know, trying to get things out the night before. So as simple as just taking out a pan for pancakes or a blender for smoothies. Can even make things ahead of time. So in that example would just be making the mix for pancakes the night before and even making the smoothies before. Also trying to just keep breakfast simple, I think, would be helpful in that case. So simply just having a bowl of cereal with a banana.
And this is a lot of great information. Is there other places on the internet or phone numbers that they can call to get some more information on breakfast?
Yeah, there's several resources available online. Checking out the Division of Public Health website as well as the A&D website.
Thanks so much, Danielle. After this break, we'll talk about more healthy foods.
There's no place like home.
Getting home safely is just a click away. But making sure your child is in the right seat is just one of the steps down the road to safer travels.
I don't know how it works.
Find the right seat for your little one's age and size.
We've done what you told us.
There's no better way to get home safely. Know for sure that your child is in the right seat. Get all the facts at safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. You know, I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Get your ass. You're not sitting here. Yes, I am. Move. Give it to him hard. No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why are you stabbing me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back to this edition of Safe and Sound. While we're searching for the most nutritious and beneficial foods to eat, reading the package label can help us a great deal. Brittany Schultenheinrich, a health educator for St. Charles County, will show us how.
You probably already use the food label in some way, maybe just to check the fat, calories, or sodium content. But the more familiar you are with the information the nutrition facts label contains, the more likely you are to use it to make sure that you're getting an overall healthy, balanced diet. You should be using the food label when you shop, as you plan your meals, and as you cook each day. One of the best things a person can do is plan ahead before making the trip to the grocery store. So go ahead and make a meal plan and a shopping list. This can really help a person avoid the temptation to impulse buy once they get there, especially when we're talking about things like junk food and snacks. Once there, a person would want to check the label for the number of servings and the servings per container, the number of calories per serving, and they're also going to want to look for products with reduced amounts of fat, sodium, and little to no trans fat. And they're going to want to look for food sources that are rich in things like vitamins A, C, calcium, and iron. Also, they'll want to look for products that are made with 100% whole grains and choose protein-rich foods that are also low in fat. It's important to remember that the nutrition facts label is based on one serving. For example, in this box of macaroni and cheese, one serving is 1 cup, but the box actually contains 2 servings. So if a person were to eat the entire container, or 2 cups of macaroni and cheese, they would actually have to double the amount of calories and the amount of other nutrients listed on the label. So from this one food item, if a whole box of macaroni and cheese was eaten, they would actually consume 36% of their daily value of fat in one sitting. The percent daily values, or the percent DV listed on a nutrition facts label, is based on a 2,000 calorie diet, which may or may not fit your individual needs. A person's caloric intake can vary depending upon their age, their height, their level of physical activity, and even their gender. But if you understand how to use the percent daily values, you can use it to make dietary trade-offs throughout the day. It is important to understand that the footnote on the nutrition facts label does not change. Those are standard recommendations for all Americans, and they're based upon the input of public health experts. So they do not vary from product to product. The ingredients label is listed by the amount of the ingredient in the product, with the ones making up the bulk of the product listed first. So for example, in a box of cereal, you should be looking for the first item to be 100% whole grain. The Food and Drug Administration is the agency that's responsible for standardizing food labels. If a person would like more information about this topic, I would encourage them to go to the Food and Drug Administration's website.
Thanks, Brittany, for explaining that we can learn a lot about our foods, as long as we know where to look. In addition to foods, some drinks can give us a boost of energy. St. Charles County Community Health Nurse Teresa Turnbull is here to discuss the good and bad aspects of energy drinks. Teresa, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Can you explain to me what exactly is an energy drink?
Well, we see energy drinks on the market under such names as Red Bull, Monster, Rage, Rockstar, and they contain large amounts of caffeine and sugar that help to boost energy. They also contain other legal stimulants, and these may be seen as guarana, ginseng, and taurine.
And do these products actually boost your energy, or you just get that feel?
Well, they seem to boost our energy because of the large doses of caffeine and sometimes sugar that are in these energy drinks. But really the stimulant effect comes from the caffeine. These drinks can contain anywhere from 75 milligrams to over 200 milligrams of caffeine. By comparison, a strong cup of coffee will contain about 120 to 150 milligrams of caffeine. An 8-ounce can of Coke contains about 35 milligrams of caffeine, and a Mountain Dew, which is a more highly caffeinated soda, contains about 55. The stimulants in the energy drinks is what seems to boost our energy, and this comes from the caffeine. If an energy drink advertises no caffeine, then the stimulant effect comes from the legal stimulants that I mentioned earlier, the guarana, the ginseng, and the taurine. Energy drinks sometimes will advertise that they are, you'll see them advertised as no crash, and this is because it means that there's no sugar crash, and essentially then they are sweetened with artificial sweeteners. But the boost that we feel from energy drinks is just a temporary boost, and it is short-lived, and sometimes it can be accompanied by other problems.
And you mentioned some of those problems. We obviously are going to do these for the perk that they get, but what kind of health problems do they cause?
Well, the dangers that are associated with energy drinks comes from the caffeine that's in them, and this really depends on how each individual deals with caffeine, how their body deals with it. But for some people, the stimulating properties, it raises your heart rate, it can raise your blood pressure, and also it can cause dehydration. And that's like any other stimulant. It can also cause us to feel jittery or agitated, and they do also cause sleeplessness. If you combine energy drinks with exercise, then you're essentially giving yourself two things that will cause sweating. Number one, the exercise, and then anything that contains caffeine also has a diuretic property. So that's can cause dehydration. For children and adolescents, the American Academy of Pediatrics really warns against including these in our children's and adolescents' diets because the caffeine and the added sugar is really not good for them. Because of the way that these energy drinks are labeled, they're dietary supplements, so they're not regulated by the Food and Drug Administration, and many times the stimulants, it's hard to judge how much caffeine or stimulant properties are in them because these don't have to be labeled the same way because they're not regulated. And so you really have no idea sometimes of how much caffeine you're actually getting.
And I've also heard about people mixing them with alcohol. What is the problem with that?
Okay, this is really combining anything that contains caffeine, which is a stimulant, with alcohol, which is a depressant, is really a bad idea. The combination of those, the stimulant effects, can mask just how intoxicated you actually are, because many times we know that we've had enough to drink because it makes us feel sleepy, the alcohol, whereas if you're mixing it with the energy drink, it makes you feel stimulated and you don't really realize how intoxicated you are becoming. It can also give us the impression that we're not alcohol impaired because we don't feel tired, we feel awake and alert, and so you get behind the wheel of a car and that leads to another, a lot of problems. Research has found also that people that mix alcohol with energy drinks tend to drink more and therefore have a higher blood alcohol content. And then also you've got alcohol, which acts as a diuretic, and caffeine, which acts as a diuretic, and so then again you're leading to the problem of dehydration.
And so we're all doing this to try to get ourselves a little bit of a lift. Is there a healthy way to do this?
Sure there is. There's usually healthier ways than to take artificial stimulants. Eating a healthy diet, having physical exercise regularly on a daily basis, and getting a good night's sleep are all ways to give yourself a feeling of having more energy. If you are, though, eating a healthy diet and including physical exercise in your daily routine, and you are getting 7 to 8 hours of good sleep, and you're still feeling tired, you should always check with your physician because a lot of times signs of fatigue can being fatigued can be a sign of some underlying health problems such as anemia or hypothyroidism.
Well, thanks a lot for this information, Teresa.
You're welcome.
Don't go away, as we'll be right back with more information to keep us safe and sound.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Call this free government program for the option that's right for you.
Welcome back to Safe and Sound. I'm your host, Doug Bolnick. Today, we've learned a great deal about healthy living from members of the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment. Next, the department's director, Julie Eckstein, will give us an overview on the programs and services provided through the Division of Environmental Health and Protection.
The St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment has 3 divisions, and one of them is the Division of Environmental Health and Protection. It's a very important part of overall public health. In that division, we do some really interesting things. One of the things that's most visible to people is the inspection of restaurants. We really try to be partners with restaurants to ensure that they are providing safe and healthy food for you, and that all of their processes around food preparation and storage and things like that are going to ensure that, again, you have safe foods. So we work closely with them, but what's interesting as a consumer is you can go on our website and check out the scores that any restaurant has received and find out if there are things that they need to improve upon as a food establishment, and we provide all that information at no cost online. One of the other things that's very important for consumers to know that is a service here in our community, which isn't provided in every community, is our recycling facilities. We have 2 recycling centers. One is at 94 in the Kisker area, just right in that area, and the other is out in Wentzville. At both of those facilities, you can drop off a lot of the household things that you have and don't need anymore. For some there's a small fee and others are free of charge, but anything from appliances of all kinds. We get a lot of computers these days. That as technology expands so rapidly and improves, people need a place to dispose of those. We recently had a program partnership to even dispose of mattresses. Now that's a special program that isn't ongoing at those facilities, but we do try to have specialized programs as well. Household hazardous waste can be brought to the one facility, our Recycle Works Central. And those are things that you might have hanging out in your garage or your shed, anything from paints and stains to other liquid products that can be dangerous if left in those kind of environments. So please feel free to give us a call to get more information or to look on our website for the list of things that are acceptable at those facilities. And we're glad to help you out to keep a clutter-free, safe garage. Our Division of Environmental Health and Protection also is involved with several other regulatory programs that fulfill our ordinances here in St. Charles County. We are involved with the daycare facilities, for example, to ensure that any place that is going to have our precious children in this community are safe. So the child care facilities, also tattoo parlors and tanning facilities, things like that, as well as very different kinds of organizations that are energy related. So Ameren and other providers like that, the sanitation providers, and those with the dump trucks that come pick up your trash, all of those, the trash haulers, are also those that we regulate to ensure that everything in our community is as safe as possible related to our environment. There are a couple other things as well that division does. Sometimes people aren't very responsible in the community and they might dump some things in places that are illegal. So we get those phone calls as well to say that there's been some illegal dumping, and then we'll go work in cooperation with a couple of other departments here in county government to ensure that everything is picked up, disposed of properly, and then a clean environment for all of us. One of the programs that division does that really is seen mostly during the summer is what we call vector control, but most of that is related to mosquitoes. So we want to ensure that we have the smallest amount of mosquitoes possible, especially when West Nile virus might be a potential disease that can be gotten from mosquitoes. So if you ever have any issue with mosquitoes in your neighborhood, feel free to give us a call. We try to be very proactive and make sure that any areas that have standing water are always well taken care of with the sprays and larvicides that we use to kill both the adult mosquitoes as well as their young. And in addition to being proactive, we really take our cues from you. So if we get complaints that there are a large number of mosquitoes in any of the areas that we treat, we're glad to rush right out and make sure that we can take care of that problem for you. One of the most important things for people to know is we're always here and ready to serve you. If there's information we can help provide you, please give us a call or go to our website. Our phone number is 949-7400 here in the 636 area code. Or please go to the county's website and you can choose Department of Community Health and the Environment from the department drop down and get specific information about us.
Thanks, Julie. Many use social media every day to interact with family and friends. But did you know that someone could use the things you or others post to cause harm? Detective Bridget Oldani from the Missouri Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force offers protection tips. Thanks for coming in, Bridget.
Thank you.
The Missouri Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force is coordinated here in St. Charles County, but it's actually a regional network. Could you tell us a little bit about who's involved and what exactly you do?
Yes, we're a multi-jurisdictional task force. We're comprised of federal, local, and state law enforcement agencies. Specifically here in the St. Charles County Sheriff's Department's office, we are comprised of local law enforcement officers, St. Charles County, St. Charles City, St. Louis City, O'Fallon Police Department, Wentzville Police Department, St. Peter's Police Department, Franklin County Sheriff's Department, and Lincoln County Sheriff's Department.
And what exactly are you looking for? What are some of the things that you tasked to do?
We do both reactive and proactive investigations regarding child exploitation on the internet. So our cases may involve incidents of child pornography, enticement, where an adult entices a child online. It could involve cyberbullying, but most of our cases involve the child pornography aspect and the enticements.
And unfortunately, a lot of these things that you're looking for happen because of the growth of social media.
Correct.
A lot of people don't think about some of the things that they post, whether it be pictures or personal information or even just a post or reaction to something. What are some of the things that people should look for when they post?
They need to remember that everything that they put on the internet will be there forever. So what they think is fun and cute today, they may not think that 10 years from now. So especially when you're talking about the teenagers, they need to keep that in mind because that could be used against them when they're applying for colleges or jobs down the road.
And what would you say would be some safety tips for acting over the internet?
They need to really control themselves on who they communicate with and how they communicate with these individuals. If it's somebody that they normally see on a day-to-day basis, then they are a little more restrictive on how they act and what they say because they know they have to see that person daily. If it's somebody that they don't know and there's that anonymity, they tend to get a little more flirtatious and drop those barriers. And they have to remember that that individual, although they believe that individual isn't anywhere near them, could in actuality be the next door neighbor.
And you talked a little bit about bullying. It's grown and unfortunately has grown quite a bit in the last couple of years. If someone were to be harassed using the internet or social media in particular, what are some things that they can do and what are some warning signs to look out for?
They need to first evaluate the harassment itself. Do they believe it's going to escalate? If they think it's going to escalate and get more out of control, then they need to maybe screen capture the post or the image that was sent to them. And then if they have the ability, depending on what social site they're on, they need to block the individual and keep them from contacting them. If it continues, then depending on if it's an adult or a child that's receiving these posts or messages, they may want to reach out to their local law enforcement to see what is available to them. It depends on the severity and how far it's gone on whether or not there's actually a law that will cover it.
And if somebody wanted a little bit more information about what you do or something, just the general topic in general, where could they go?
They can go to the Missouri Internet Crimes Against Children website, which is www.moicac.org. That will give you more information about our task force, and it also has links on there to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website and other good resources.
Thanks so much for coming in today, Julia. We really appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have today, but I hope you've learned a little more about eating right, preserving our environment, and staying vigilant can make things better. Please join me next time when we'll discover new ways to keep you and your family safe and sound.